if you go out to dinner, you will spend $15 probably. So what we're asking is, if the voters would give up one $15 dinner, it means that senior citizens will get their dinners every day for a year. And we are hoping that this generous community will recognize our need after 26 years of not asking for any increase and be there so that we can support the overwhelming numbers that are needing service and maintain the level of service that we have in this community. This is a great place to live, and part of that reason is because of the services that we have in place. So, thank you for allowing me this time to speak. Are there any questions?
Just like to say we applaud what you do.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yes, any questions?
No, I just wondered if you have if the 3/10 of a mil passes.
Yes.
How much money or funding can that generate?
The additional 3/10 will provide $1.6 million.
1.6.
Yes, and right now we bring in 3.2 approximately, 3.2, 3.3. So this would add a 1.6 million, which will take care of the additional demands for years to come.
Okay, thank you.
That money will be allocated between the 7 agencies. Is that how they do that?
Yes, sir.
Do they do it according to need, or do they do
Yes.
it, is it all, I mean, each person gets the same percentage?
No, it is based on need. The county commissioners appoint a group called the Commission on Aging. The Commission on Aging oversee the millage dollars, and they put out an RFP, a request for proposal, every year. We as agencies have an opportunity to apply for those dollars, and then the Commission on Aging makes a determination based on need for who will receive the funding.
Great.
Thank you. Any other questions? No. Again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's right. I have it right here. Ms. Newsom, you don't have to stay if you don't want to.
I actually have an opportunity to get another speaking.
Please.
Yeah.
Please, please. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you and good luck to you.
That's good service.
We'll do all we can to help support the millage.
After all these board members will probably be there pretty soon anyway, so.
Including you. Wow. Mr. Pasalis,
I'm included
you're in the
that.
minority here.
I'm included in that.
Good night now. Okay.
Well, I know, I'm closer to 70 than I am 60.
Second thing on the agenda is the award of the quote for the parking lot. You asked that be checked about adding $20 per cycle to remove unsuitable soils. That has been added in the contract like the other ones. So, and that is a low, Proline is a low bidder, so what I need is a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Mr. Supervisor, that meets the copy requirement that I asked as an addendum, and because that is the low bid of the 3, I move that we award Proline Asphalt Paving with the contract for $20,072.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Bober, supported by Mr. Boda. Any other comments or questions?
How much was that bid that you said, Richard?
$24,072.
$24,000. Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a support. No other questions. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bower.
Yes.
Mr. Boda.
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Mr. Pasalis.
Yes.
Arnold, yes. Mr. Randolph.
Yes.
Carried.
Thank you. Next thing on agenda is the budget amendment for the tabulating machines of $3,800. Mr. Bober, would you like to offer the motion?
I will. I have a motion to amend the general fund budget contingency fund number 101-890-999.99 with the transfer of $3,800 to the general fund office equipment furniture 101-902-980.00 budget. I move for its adoption.
Can I have support on that, please?
I'll support.
Motion by, presented by Mr. Bober, supported by Mr. Arnold. Questions or comments? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, roll call.
No, we're just, just amending. All opposed? Motion carried. Next thing on the agenda is the Board of Review poverty exemptions. We have this every year after the Board of Review meets. I believe there's 2 people this time, and we've done this every year. So, any questions or comments about it?
What do you need from us, Jack?
It's
Just a
the
motion to accept?
Yeah, motion to accept the recommendation of the Board of Appeals to, or Board of Review to give these 2 individuals a poverty status so they get changes in their billing of water and sewer.
I'll make that motion, Jack. We do it every year for.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'll support.
Got a motion by Mr. Horn, supported by Mr. Boda. Any other comments or questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Next thing on the agenda is review the agreement with SVS Vision. It's the same price as 2008, $7.94.
Same price for the last 4 years.
I'll make a motion that we accept the agreement with SVS Vision for their eye exams.
Okay,
I'll support.
motion by Mr. Pasella, supported by Mr. Horn. Comments or questions? If not, roll call, please.
Mr. Boda?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Bober?
Yes.
Mr. Passalis?
Yes.
Arnold, yes. Mr. Randolph?
Yes.
Carried.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the one that we added tonight, and it's called miscellaneous road projects. And for the sake of everybody, I'll explain what it is. It's a memo from myself, and I have a list of road projects that should be done this year, but they were not budgeted. They're all very small projects. There's 1-day seal patching in various areas, 3 days of rubber crack fill, Recore Road cross road culvert down by the sewer plant. That's collapsed. Ditching a Recore Road 400 feet at the park so that we can make arrangements to drain the dog park area. Crossroad culvert at Walnut and Point Drive. That's bad because we're gonna be doing Walnut and Orchard paving this year, within a couple weeks, I hope. Crossroad culvert on Francis and Urban to relieve the flooding on the corner of Urban. They did part of it last year and they wanna do the rest of it. Storm drain repair up on Reamer. It's part of the old state drain, and it's collapsed on a person's property, so that has to be fixed. And there's 4 concrete patches on Recore Road, right north of the hall here, between M29 and Point Drive. The south side, or the north side of Recore is also bad, but we're doing it in 2 phases because of the fact that the road would have to be closed otherwise. Now, the cost of these projects is $70,505. Other items that we budgeted, put in the budget and which were approved, came in under budget, which enables us to do these additional things. Following is where the money came from, and all the items are currently in capital projects, and you got a copy of the capital projects attached. We're getting $50,000 out of contingency. We're getting $13,000 out of the sewer I&I program, and in excess of $8,000 out of the Orchard and Walnut. We budgeted $83,000 for that, and that came in at around $74,000. So that totals out at $71,000. If you approve this tonight, and next meeting you will be getting budget amendments like you got tonight to cover the switching of these budgets. So,
Question.
yes, sir.
How are the contracts going to be awarded, Jack? Are we going to bid them?
No, they're all by the road commission.
Oh.
All road commission's doing it all.
That
Yeah.
answers my question.
Nothing on the Ron Point Drive though.
Nothing on Point Drive, no.
Now, well, I was
Oh,
going
I'm
to
sorry.
piggyback that question about Point Drive.
Point Drive, Point Drive has to be redone, and we know that. We went after local road funding this year and did not get it.
Okay.
We're going after it again next year. Point Drive is gonna cost about $270,000. So if we can get the local road funding, then it's only gonna cost us half of that, because we'll get $100,000 from that. So
But
That's why
that'll
that was
be
not
the
done
new
this year.
administration
Yeah.
anyway.
And if we don't have a chance to get it, it might be wise, when we do the budget this year, to, put money in the budget for Point Drive. You know, just in case we do get that local road funding, and possibly put the whole amount in, then if we get the local road funding, then we can take and use that, switch that budget money. Point Drive has to be done. It's, it should have been done like this year, and so I held off till
Well, they're
next
still
year.
gonna do the bridge next year.
The bridge is going to be done, it's being, that's not gonna interfere with it, Don, but the bridge is being done, this summer. They're starting to do some preliminary work on it. What they're going to do is, it's basically gonna be the same, except where the bridge now is sort of like a square box that sits over the river. Well, I guess the new one, in talking to the road commission, the new one, the bottom of it is gonna be sort of raised. So it'll probably raise the underneath, part about a foot and a half. I know that's not much. We'd like to really have it where bigger boats could go through there, but with the driveways and everything there, that's not possible.
'Cause I know at one time they talked about putting new approaches there, which would have blocked the driveways, the houses
Right.
on both sides of the road.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
They
So the
put a
best we
hump
can
in
do
there,
is,
That'll slow the cars down too.
and it'll probably go up a ways too, but
Yes.
not a tremendous amount, still staying within the safety aspects. And that is still scheduled to be done 2013.
When Larry and I were at the road commission last year, we mentioned that. Evidently, they didn't hear us because, this year they said they didn't, nobody said anything about it, but I said we'd raise it between 1 and 2 feet anyhow.
Well, like Don just pointed out, it's because of the approaches, they can only raise it so much, you know that. And so that's been their problem, but then they got that federal grant, which goes to the county, which comes to us. We were even putting money forward to do Point Drive Bridge ourselves, and we had like, $60,000 set aside before we hit the Detroit Edison litigation. But as it turns out, even with the federal grant coming down to the county, coming down to our share, it's probably only gonna cost us about $20,000 for Point Drive, which is good, you know, so.
Yeah, just before they were talking like 200,000.
Yeah, they were talking a couple 100,000, so. Okay, so can I have a motion to, make these changes?
Also move.
I'll support.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Boda and supported by Mr. Horn. Any questions? Okay, roll call, please. You didn't have a question, did you, Mr. Boda?
No, sir.
Mr. Boda?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Bober?
Yes.
Mr. Vassalis?
Yes.
Arnold, yes. Mr. Randolph?
Yes.
Carried.
And like I said, you'll be getting the budget amendments for that at the June 4th meeting. In which, another reminder, June 4th, June 5th, we have a public hearing. So,
You better explain that again.
I will, in my comments here, I'm gonna say it
Just
again.
do it at the meeting before we.
We have we got a meeting on June 4th, so we
Yeah,
can remind us.
yes, I'll remind you on June 4th, yes. I won't let you go home June 4th. How's that? Okay, that being all the business before the board, at this time, we will go to board comments, and I'd like to first point out that the township offices will be closed Monday, May 28th for Memorial Day. And there will also be a public hearing on June 5th. So, Mr. Arnold.
Nothing.
Mr. Boda.
I have nothing, thank you.
Mr. Pacellis.
I'd just like to wish everybody a happy and safe Memorial Day weekend. It's a kickoff to our summer, and hopefully it can be a good one this year.
Good. Mr. Horn.
I have nothing tonight, Jack.
Mr. Bober.
Yeah, just a question to you firstly. Can you tell me what our budget review, what the timetable for our new budget? When are we gonna start looking at that?
Probably this year, because of the election year, we're gonna start early.
Meaning,
I'm gonna get with, the prospective new supervisor.
I
Is that
won't
what you're
hold you
talking
to
about?
that, but
But, okay, but
I'm just-
it'll probably, okay, to answer your question, it's probably going to be the budget workshop, is that what you're talking about, perhaps? Probably around August, early September.
okay.
It's gonna be early.
And it needs to be adopted by,
I think it's before the end of the year, I think it's, by November. I think it's sometime in
okay,
November.
well, and I'm just setting the stage for my next question. And you mentioned our Detroit Edison litigation, of which raided our pantry. When will that litigation result? It will affect this coming budget?
Certainly.
It will.
Yes, it's gonna reduce the budget, it's gonna reduce, well, let me not say the budget. we are gonna get approximately $250,000 less assessment from them.
Thank you very much. That's what I was leading up to. And that's the assessment. And what is it going to affect? How much is it going to affect our budget?
I won't know until I get the rest of the budget, start putting it together. But it's gonna be definitely a hit against our budget, because as you know, their taxes are about 60 to 70% of the township budgets.
Right.
You know, revenue rather. So we have to budget accordingly, so we look at that, and it's going to definitely be about $250,000 less.
Okay. I wanted to bring that up just for general.
And just for general information, Richard, and I'm glad you brought it up, because perhaps, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but perhaps within the next 2 or 3 years, because it's 251 year, and I think it declines after that also. So, you know, in the next couple of years, this board may have to seriously look at the fact of, can we continue to provide all the services we provide at no cost to the citizens? I'm talking garbage pickup, I'm talking fire protection, I'm talking police protection, I'm talking many things. Things we do, the recyclable pickup, all that stuff that the residents get, this board may have to look at that and say, hey, we have to do something. And the residents at that point are gonna have to realize what's going on and what's happening. And you know, they have to remember that a couple years ago, we lost a tremendous lawsuit to Detroit Edison, and it's gonna start impacting us next year. So, we don't wanna do it, but we may have to. This board may have
And
to.
when you have to give up $250,000 in taxes, that's a big bite out of anybody's budget.
You're right.
And that's only the tax part you're talking about. I mean, where there's, you know, still lost assessments that we have.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking
You know,
also.
empty houses still.
That's the other
There's-
thing, Angelo, you're right. You're right, plus everybody else's assessments have gone down, which is a reduction in taxes per se, and the people that are losing their houses, the houses that are empty, we're gonna have to do more of there's more houses that we're gonna have to send our people to go and cut the grass and then bill the taxpayer, or the homeowner on their taxes, but it still takes away from their productivity. So a lot may be happening in the next couple of years because of that litigation. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, and again, the point of me bringing this up is that maybe this board, that we start being a little proactive in our discussions about this loss of revenue, and maybe we can help the future boards get a handle around this by our proactive stance and how we deal with this. One of the things that I would like this board to consider, remember we had issues with healthcare costs, and we had discussed a couple of years ago when the new contract was brought up with that in a timely manner we would look at possibly reviewing options that might help reduce the cost of healthcare in the future years. Again, I'm just asking this board to think about that, and I'll bring it up again. Maybe we can put it on the agenda at some time in the future to see if we can put our collective heads together and to figure out a way to solicit some RFPs, some proposals from other organizations where we might be able to find some savings, again, in anticipation of what's going to happen in the following budget year. But I'll leave you with that note, and I'll bring it back to you again and give you a little time to think about that. I have nothing else.
Thank you very much, and thanks for saying that we have to, or we should be proactive on this, because with new members of the board coming on, you know, they're going to have their job to do, and we want to leave in the best possible position that we can, and so we have to make sure that we're proactive and we do everything we can while we're still here. So.
Yeah, I remember last year, Jack, during our budget workshops that we had, we talked about getting proactive for this year. Mm-hmm. And we did put a few things aside, and we did try and do it, but until we know exactly what the damage is gonna be or where it goes. And Richard, you made a great comment on the health insurance, but you also know our union contract will be up at next July, and a lot of that will depend on how our union negotiations go as far as how our health care benefits are gonna
Well,
go, but
we were sitting there together, so we knew
exactly.
what heartburn that caused us. The point I'm trying to bring to this board is, remember right at the end, we were held over a barrel because our administrative staff's health insurance was held over our heads in
Exactly.
regard to the final settlement. I would truly hate to leave a board in that position again if there would be any way that we could help with that beforehand.
Exactly. I
And
think
that's
we've
my
learned-
reason for
I
it.
think we've learned a lot from that lesson, and I don't think we're gonna go back into it again the next time as blind as we were.
Approach it in a different way, like we have been discussing. Rather than having just the board members take on it, and we might hire
Oh, yeah.
Gentlemen to-
The
Well,
next,
in that respect, we might have to look at establishing a line item for consultancy.
yes, and that's definitely gonna be the next time. I mean, as long as we're talking about that openly here, that, no, our board members, both you gentlemen went into this with goodness in your heart. You didn't have any real expertise in this matter, and you just got slaughtered because you were up against somebody that was a real shark. That will not happen again. We are gonna get somebody to do
Well-
the negotiating.
I don't know if we got blindsided, because I think me and Richard really put a lot of effort
Yes,
into it,
you
a lot
did.
of heart into it. We were blindsided by, some things that arose during those negotiations.
It won't happen
And
again.
it won't happen again. It won't happen again. I mean, we've learned from it, and we will move forward, and, like I said, I thought me and Richard researched pretty much all that we could have researched and what we did, but, again, we thought we could deal with good faith, and unfortunately, times have changed.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have.
I thought
And-
you done a great
and you-
job.
Yeah, you gentlemen did a great job. Unfortunately, you're right. You just got beaten up badly. Okay, the only thing I have to say is, are you done, Richard?
Yes, sir.
The only thing I'd like to say is, again, the office is gonna be closed for Memorial Day on the 28th, and I hope everybody has a nice Memorial weekend. So, at that point, could I have a motion for adjournment?
We'll make a motion that we adjourn at 8:17.
I'll support.
Motion by Mr. Bodis, seconded by Mr. Horn. We adjourn at 8:17. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much. We are now adjourned.